Hey everybody, how's it going? Lovely weather today. It's pushing 90 degrees. It's actually rather warm outside. One of those days I'm happy to have the motor. When it's 17 or 20 degrees outside, I enjoy pedaling, keep myself warm. But when it's this hot outside, it becomes really uncomfortable to pedal and do exercise and then show up to work covered in sweat and smell like shit. It's like, I'll get some exercise in on the way home. A few times last month I walked home actually, that was some good exercise. Wow, look at, one of the things that's made me more conservative when I'm driving a vehicle is just looking at the sheer amount of cars in New York City that look like that. Like there's so many of them everywhere that look like they've been completely destroyed. So today is a milestone. I just thought I'd announce it on today's random bike ride video. And the milestone is that we have written our first check to our first lobbyist. I shouldn't say lobbyist, advocacy organization that is then hiring the lobbyist. Because apparently in this particular state that I'm hiring a lobbyist, the lawmakers hate my guts, so it's kind of best to separate my name out of there. But it's pretty much going directly to, it's going to be going directly to this particular lobbyist that we have a draft contract with, we had a really good job interview with. One of the things I've noticed is that there seems to be an inverse correlation in lobbying between the knowledge of the lobbyist and the skill and the amount of money that they charge per month. Because there are actually quite a few lobbyists that wanted, upwards of 20,000, 25, 30,000 a month that did not understand the positions of many of the politicians on a number of different issues. I don't believe in defunding the police, but I do believe in defunding the police that park in the bike lane. Okay. So that's kind of exciting. And on the C3 side, there's a bunch of these smaller advocacy organizations that we're going to start working with. So one of my goals was to try to get the concept of right to repair out to people besides whatever gets upvoted on Reddit and whatever shows up on my YouTube channel. A part of that was going on other people's shows, talking to the Crystal and Sagers, talking to the Sam Cedars and everybody else. But also another big part of it is getting other organizations involved that kind of have, oh my God, that car is destroyed. Speaking to other organizations that may look at it from an environmentalist angle or a zero waste angle or a reducing pollution angle. That's not really something that I can do. I mean, I guess I could pretend that I'm in it for that, but I'm just fundamentally not. I'm a repair shop. I enjoy solving puzzles. I like fixing stuff that allows me to make people happy, recover data, make money. I'm not really like one of those people that's picking up trash inside the street. Like, I'm not a litterer either. I don't litter. I don't like when other people litter. The other day I saw one of my employees flick a cigarette onto the street. I'd shoot him out so bad over it because I talk about how shitty this city is all the time and you're one of the people doing it, you mother... Anyway. But what was I saying? Yeah, just for me to come at it from that angle would seem kind of disingenuous because I'm upfront about why I care about this. I think that you should own your personal property. I don't think that people should try to sell you something and then in reality try to turn the arrangement into where you're leasing it. I think people should be able to open small businesses and make money fixing stuff. I come at it from the personal freedom angle. While there are environmental benefits to right to repair, there's a lot of them. For me to speak about that as one of the primary concerns, when that's not why I care about it, I would rather empower other people who care about it from that angle to speak about it. Oh my, look at that car. That car is being held together with tape, and the tape is actually falling off. And that car also has tape on it over there. So that one and that one. Jesus Christ, man. This is something, every other car that you see in this city. Oh, and the taillight on it is also being held together with duct tape. And that's a nicer car, too. That's a Lexus. Looks like an ES350, ES450. So every now and then I'll get honked at while I'm driving, not on the bike, but while I'm driving, and I'll think maybe I should drive a little bit more aggressively. Like maybe I should. And then I just look at all the people that wind up honking at me, and their cars look like that. Like they're filled with duct tape everywhere, and it's, I don't know. I find that I ride considerably more aggressive on my bike than I drive in a car, for two reasons. A, this bike is way effing cheaper than a car, so if something happens to it, like, you know, I'll be sad if it gets a giant scratch or a bump or a dent or God forbid gets totaled, but it's not going to be the same as if a car gets totaled. And B, the cost if you hit somebody on a bicycle is considerably lower than the cost if you hit them in a 4,000-pound vehicle. If you hit them in a 4,000-pound vehicle, they're dead, or very close to it. Whereas if you hit them with this, they're going to be mad at you. They're going to be hurt, but it's not going to be the same level of hurt. Also, since the bike, you have the brakes right by your hand, you always have your hand on a brake, unlike a car where you kind of have your foot on a pedal. You have your foot on one pedal at a time. There's the kind of like that. There's that gap between the time that you go from the accelerators to the brake, whereas on a bike that doesn't really exist, or a motorcycle the same way. And also, this is much thinner and smaller, so you can kind of get around things and you can evade easier. But mainly the cost is, both to you and to the other individual, is considerably lower on a bike or a motorized bicycle than it is in a vehicle. But every time I think to myself, maybe I don't drive in a car aggressively enough, I just look at the person that's honking at me, and very often their car will be held together with duct tape. I always thought that cars being held together with duct or packing tape was a meme, but it's not a meme, it's actually reality. There's a lot of people that do that here. My motor is at 44 Celsius. Boom. Yes, I'm really happy about this. I just wanted to say thank you, by the way, to everybody who helped make this first lobbyist hiring, or first finished deal possible. I want to get things started before the session starts, because one of the things that I've learned is that when you show up and you speak at the hearing, nothing you say matters because everybody has their mind made up. And if they don't have their mind made up, you sure as shit are not going to make up their mind at the end of the session when there's 2 minutes of time for you to give your testimony. What makes up people's minds is working with them and working on their concerns and their fears and their issues before the session begins. And then you have a chance of working everything out, working your compromises if there's any compromises to be had. You wind up working all that stuff out earlier on. You have a better chance of something actually getting done. And you know, we don't have time for that. I don't have time. I don't have time to appear in 17 states and speak to all the different politicians in those 17 states about a bill. That's not something that I could do. That's not something that any repair shop owner could do, because they needed to run their businesses and fix shit or they're going bankrupt. And even if you do think you can do that, you can't be in 17 states at once. You probably don't know which people are the important people on all the different issues and all this other crap. Suck it, boss. Suck. Why are you honking? I'm literally in a bike lane. You dumb mofo. Anyway, what was I saying? So there's a... But once you've raised over $500,000 to a 501c4 that, unlike the C3, is not filled with millions of little restrictions, that does open up the ability for in these 17 states to craft a strategy, a base strategy, and then hand it off to someone who is an expert at doing this particular thing and get them to be an advocate for that particular issue. Somebody had mentioned that one thing that may actually pay dividends going forward, rather than a lobbying strategy, and I think this could be a fun one. This could be a fun one, although I think this may be a little too on the aggressive side, but admittedly I kind of enjoy the ones that are more on the aggressive side. If someone holds up right to repair and you figure out who they are, fund their primary challenger. So let's say there's someone who holds up right to repair from being voted on or being pushed through or votes against it. If they're up for re-election that year and they have a primary challenger, give $100K to their campaign. Give $100K to their campaign. Get their challenger elected. Because what it does is it sends a message across the country that you will hurt your chances of being elected. You hurt your chances of being elected if you vote against right to repair. And the message would be heard. So even if you spent in one state, that messaging would be heard in several other states, whereas if you pay for a lobbyist, your messaging is only going to be heard from that lobbyist. That lobbying is only going to benefit you in that one state. And honestly, it's an interesting strategy. I'm not saying I'm going for that strategy just yet, but it's an interesting idea. I think it's an interesting idea. It's definitely not something to 100% rule out. The ballot initiative strategy is not something that was going to work for two reasons. First, I didn't raise even remotely enough money for it, and two, they're actually very close to overturning the ballot initiative that passed last year in Massachusetts on a technicality. And the individuals involved there said, fine, we'll just go again. You know, they spent $25 million that time, which is over 25 times what I was able to raise. But they were willing to spend 25 or 40 million again. That's insane. I wish them luck with it. By the way, you're going to notice once we're over the bridge, the traffic in the city has increased considerably in the past 2 months. Like, there's been a very, very noticeable difference. I really don't understand why people drive in Manhattan. It really, it's miserable. I guess it's because having the bicycle with a motor is illegal. Yeah, that probably puts a big damper on it. Even the bridge, look at all this traffic. Look at all these people here. It's like, there's a lot of people here. There's also a lot of people not pedaling even though they have bicycles with numerous gears. That is triggering. I get it, it's a downslope. When you're on a downslope, if you have a bike with a single gear, you can't pedal. But if you have a geared hub or a bicycle with gears, and you don't pedal on the way down the hill, that's just evil. That's evil. This is 12 miles an hour right now, down a hill. All right, we're over halfway over the bridge. We're into the Manhattan section. The buildings on my right, all these large apartment buildings, these are from like the 40s to 60s, and they are all in Manhattan on the Lower East Side. I'm gonna see if there's any space over here to edge in front of the no pedalers, no pedaling squad. Okay, there will be after this. All right, I ring my bell. Yes, that's my bell. All right. Vroom. This is actually pedal power right here, no motor. It's fun to pedal down a hill. All right. Lower East Side appears to be keeping busy. Ooh, milkshakes. Do I want a milkshake? I kind of want a milkshake, but I shouldn't get one. No milkshake. Gotta get something healthy for lunch. This yellow outdoor dining really is very attractive to the eye. Also, if you notice, it's actually outdoors. I can honk too, mofo. I have a horn. It does sound like a clown horn, though. My horn really sounds like a clown horn. I gotta get my JP horn on this bike. Retail restaurant space for lease. Yep. You're gonna be for lease for a long time. I am really surprised that the real estate market has not crashed yet. Very surprised. Like, I can't believe that this has managed to stay propped up for the amount of time that it has. It's a very sticky market. Like, if you had a share of GameStop and you said you were only willing to sell it for $1,000, and at some point, one of those people would be saying, you know what, I'll sell my share for 300 or 200 or 100 or something. Very sticky pricing in the real estate market here. Very horribly sticky pricing. You can see there's a lot of people around here. You got this little wine and beer bar. It's got a guy delivering a bunch of Blue Moon. Lots of people are getting ready, going back to living their lives. Maybe we'll take a tour of the East Village area from Alphabet City. Man, cars are annoying. I could just imagine driving right now. I'd be like, this is like a trap. So claustrophobic when you had... Is this Avenue B or Avenue C? I don't know. What did I go on? I'm on Avenue B. So in one block, I'll actually see that restaurant place that I was looking at potentially renting last year. It's one block ahead. I think it got converted into an art gallery, and I'm very curious to see if it's a successful art gallery. This is nuts. It's very claustrophobic how narrow the streets are here. I believe it was East 4th Street and Avenue B. That's this over here. Now let's see. Oh, it looks like a successful art gallery. I guess someone's paying $10,000 a month for that. I really did like the character of that place when it was a restaurant. 235 East 4th Street. It had a lot of character as a restaurant that it does not have as an art gallery. It really did have a nice old-fashioned kind of Avatar Studios-ish look to it, and I think that's what attracted me to it so much. I have a real appreciation for the Avatar Studios Studio B lounge look of it. I remember the Avatar Studios Studio B lounge. I really hope they haven't changed it too much, because I would like to someday, before I leave the city or before I die, just be able to take a walkthrough of it. You know, not do a session there, not spend a day there, just take a walkthrough on a day where nothing is going on and see each room. I would actually pay them for that, because I have a lot of memories associated with it. It was like my first real job at a first real studio. My first real studio job, I should say. And I remember the way that I felt when I first started working there, and I don't know, I think it would be something to go back down memory lane. I haven't seen that place since 2008, so it's been like 13 years at this point. Actually 13 and a half, because I think I left in April of 2008. Man. A lot in the world has changed since then. A lot in the world has changed. Yeah, so this is Alphabet City. Nice little neighborhood. The apartments here are more affordable than other areas of the East Village, than other areas of this Manhattan in general. This, you know, it's more affordable to open a restaurant here than other areas. Alphabet City is known for its eclectic mix of bars and restaurants. You're not going to see a lot of like bank offices or investment offices in this area. It's mostly little banks, restaurants, consignment stores, stuff like that. You have a park over here, people playing. There's been a lot of I shouldn't say conflict, I should say mild resentment brewing as it becomes, or I should say becomes, as it has become more gentrified over the past 20 years. And you can see evidence of the gentrification occurring in real time on sites like EV Grieve, that's evgrieve.com. It's a really good neighborhood blog. They kind of stay on top of things that are happening in this area. They go over all the businesses that close, all the businesses that open, general happenings in the neighborhood. It's pretty cool stuff. I'm not going to pass by my store because I don't feel like waiting at the light over there when it's green for me to go this way. Uh-oh. Target! The light was green for me there. I have good disc brakes. I wouldn't have hit her. 2 180 millimeter discs, hydraulic. I check them regularly. So I can acquire a target, but that doesn't mean that I have to hit the target. But I did acquire a target there. I definitely did acquire a target there. It's one thing to go through the red. It's another to go really slowly as something is coming your way. That's just highly obnoxious. As I've said, there's always different ways to break the law, you know? Like, laws are kind of like on a spectrum, you know? It's like indoor-outdoor dining. Like, there's a spectrum of indoor-outdoor dining. Nothing is an immediate binary in New York City. There's a spectrum for jaywalking. There's a spectrum for indoor-outdoor dining. Just like there's a spectrum for mask wearing. You have the above the nose, below the upper lip, and then below the both, and then chin bra, or hanging off of your ear, versus no mask at all. It's all a spectrum. It's all on a spectrum. See, like here, let's say this is a red, for instance, right? Look to the right, look to the left, there's nobody there. We look again, and then you go. Then you go. You don't just see, oh, look, there's somebody coming for me at 25 miles an hour. Let me play chicken with them. It's a spectrum. It's a spectrum. That word actually triggers the crap out of me ever since Time Warner changed their company name. That triggers the shit out of me. Spectrum. I used to pay $400 a month and I could barely get the ability to stream to YouTube without dropping frames all the time. Nitrocaster had actually created a drop frames counter for OBS that shits on Spectrum that I was using 2 or 3 years ago. I love files. I wonder in how many other states I'm actually going to have to employ a lobbyist through an advocacy organization so that it doesn't show up that I hired the lobbyist. I wonder how many other states have politicians that hate my guts. I was kind of sad that this state had politicians that hate my guts. That was kind of sad, but to be expected. I'm a very abrasive human being. I'm not a likable character, so to speak. One of the opposition lobbyists pointed to one of my videos where I called someone clueless or whatever when they were giving bullshit testimony and said, "Look at how mean he is. Look at how mean he is. He's a meanie. Unlike us that get paid $200,000 a year to lobby against consumer rights." Maybe I am a meanie. Maybe I am a sick, twisted bastard. I stand behind most of the things I say on this channel. But this is going to be interesting. I'm excited to write my check. Excited to write the next check. Someday maybe we'll have repair preservation group, action fund sponsored candidates on the ballot. That'll be something else. But we get started one bit at a time. One small piece at a time. One small piece at a time. We get a lobbyist. is someone sleeping on the street in front of that parking lot. That is sad. It's going to be fun. Once I start hiring more lobbyists in more states, figuring out how many things that I said, either in jest or just things that I said that I actually stand behind but that were controversial, wind up being brought back to the forefront and used to like, demonstrate me as a giant piece of shit once I actually start hiring lobbyists in all these states. Because for the most part, for like the past, I don't know, 10 years on YouTube, there hasn't really been any sort of coordinated incentive structure to paint me as more of a piece of shit than I actually am. But the thing about entering politics, when you do anything in politics, you have a say. In some way, you are going to have a say over other people's lives. And that creates a broad incentive structure to paint the person who is then entering that level of having authority over other people's lives as a piece of shit, so that there's an incentive structure to diminish the authority that they have. I am trying to bring people's authority back into their own property, back into their lives a little bit. But the people who want to take that authority away from you, over being able to fix your own stuff, I don't know. I think I've made myself a fairly easy target. And that the whole, making sure that you don't say anything that's improper or whatever, being politically correct. I think that I think that it would be pretty easy to go through everything on this channel and just find like the most horrible things I've said, or like clip it out of context and go, do you want to listen to someone hired by him? That's what we thought. Of course not. But I think we may just kind of be past that point in politics. I think maybe we're done with that. Maybe Trump proved that we're done with that. But that would be for the Republican Party. For the Democrat Party, are we done with that? It's possible. Like the AOCs getting elected and similar candidates. And I think it's possible. Ouch. That guy's mirror is being held in with packing tape and duct tape. Yikes. I suppose we'll find out. This is why I think it was really important early on that somebody else do all of this stuff. I'm a YouTube loudmouth. I'm not a lobbyist, activist, whatever, political coordinator. Oh God. Oh no. Oh no. New York City Road. Here, I'll go on the side of this work. You need someone who's more clean, probably taller, cleaner haircut, curses less, says less controversial stuff to be the person that's coordinating all this. Makes them less vulnerable to that type of attack. I don't know if you all noticed, but there is quite a bit of traffic back in New York City. A lot of people appear to be going back to living life. I'm happy to see that. Really am. What the? Retail for lease. Look, it's an empty store over there. On Madison Avenue. Chin bra. Damn, that's a lot of empty businesses to my right. Actually, a lot of empty businesses to my left as well. Hello, 27th Street. Could that have been the most annoying tire squeaking noise if I tried? I'm stuck. I'm too fat to get in.
Girl dog or car?
I gotta lose some weight. All right. See you next time.